So, as I mentioned, our next speaker is someone who isn't afraid to challenge the myths of modern football. Tom van den Abbeele challenged the blind faith in data. When does it help and when does it hurt? This session is a wake-up call for clubs chasing numbers without the context. Please welcome Tom van den Abbeele, presenting use, abuse, and misuse of data in football. Our next speaker, Tom van den Abbeele. Give one more round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's start in an unusual way, maybe. Is anyone still awake and interested to learn something new? Okay. I'm going to ask Tarak to all stand up. Maybe there's some people that you haven't met with yet. Change numbers. Come forward and please sit in the first 4 or 5 rows. You've got 2 minutes. Exchange numbers with some interesting colleague that you haven't spoken with yet. It's a networking event, right? Okay, next thing. All show me your phones. Where's the phones? Okay, put them away. Okay. Let's kick off. Jesus, I missed one. No? Okay. Agents in football. Agents in football, you have a couple of familiar guys, I suppose. You have cowboys, you have professors, you have wannabe professors. Actually, the same goes for clubs. You have clubs that are really well structured, well organized, and know what they're doing. They have a couple of ones that don't know what they're doing. And you have a couple of clubs that think they know what they're doing. And communication. They communicate with each other. The Cowboys, they're sending profiles to every sporting director, whether that's Brighton or Manchester City or Sunderland or Bolton. You know, they're sending profiles to anyone, hoping that maybe something will happen. Then you have these guys who, and they're all over social media, taking nice pictures, etc. These are the guys. Then you have the guys that you don't see, but actually do a very great job in the backhand and delivering you profiles that are at least acceptable. And then you have guys that, and there's a lot of data, and this is all about data, that consume data without actually understanding what they're looking at. I'm sure you've all talked to a sporting director who told you, I'm looking for a tall, experienced, and a free striker. Right? Great information. I can't do anything with it. You can go to transfer market and you see, I've chosen some Serbian players, but they're all strikers. They're all tall and they're all free. Pick one, you know? This is what you asked for. This is what I can deliver for you. Did you open the right presentation? Because it gives a little bit too much information straight away. Yeah, but it's not. It should pop up. Yeah.
Where's the issue?
Well, we tested it and it should come step by step. We've tested it on a computer, but
That's all right. So maybe someone of you wants to ask. You get to know on one and other on our panel previously. Maybe someone has any question for him from the English chat because he was working, as far as I remember, in Chelsea, PSV, with more clubs, right?
a couple of clubs, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
So, your experience working with high-level athletes, how professional they are, how much they know about the rules of profession, how organized are they administratively when they know the presentation of their clients, how good are they talented. You face problems when you deal with high-profile agents. They obviously deliver high-profile players. But what about the administrative part, the legal part of their business? What are your top rating?
Yeah. I mentioned there's so many different kind of agents, and when I pull down a profile, when I create a real profile, when I understand the club and know what they're looking for, really know what they're looking for, not a tall, free striker. And I pull down a list, and when I see the 5 top profiles, and I investigate who are the agents, and one agency has 3 of these players, then you know that agency is, in my opinion, doing a great job. They're working in a similar way. They use data in a proper way to find the players they are targeting. So that's one. A lot of really good organized scouting agencies doing a great job, sometimes better than some clubs, actually than most of the clubs, to be honest. That's one. And then the administration part is a lot of the time is done by a lawyer, an in-house lawyer for the agency, and they're of course doing a great job, especially for the player, of course, putting in all clauses, etc. But most of the time it works great step by step. Can be a pain in the ass for the clubs, but they work in a well-structured way.
Ask you if it's their possibility to take your laptop with you here so they can connect. On their computer is just these 2 slides, but I assume you have more.
It's in my room.
It's in the room. Okay, can we improvise just like at least something to say more? We really apologize for this inconvenience.
Right. I can show you a couple of things, but what I want to say here is when they're looking for a tall striker, most of the time they're, a tall striker, what does it mean? I told you already, 190 or bigger. Well, that's not actually what they mean. They mean, I want to have a player that wins aerial duels. That makes sense. That's something that we can measure. That's something that we can look at. The same thing with experienced. What do you want to see? Is it age? Is it 30 years plus? Or do you want someone who's comfortable on the ball? If you give him the ball, that does not lose the ball, that plays the ball forward. That's stuff where you can work with. Free is free if you look for a striker who's end of contract. But if you use that filter, you rule out a lot of players, and some players who are no longer part of the plans of the coach in a club and still under a 2-year contract. Well, you filter them out really easily. You just toggle a thing and they're out. So be really careful with those kind of things. Does the video play? This is a bit stupid, of course. Okay. I'll explain you what I do now. So I used to work as an academy coach. Later on, I did international recruitment for clubs like PSV and Chelsea. Becoming a sport director, and now working for a company to try to educate clubs how to deal with data. There's so many data providers delivering data, but it's all in the context of the data. If you're looking, anyhow, we go to a club and we ask them, okay, what is your goal and what is your vision? And then we implement all kinds of data streams. First of all, the video. The video, if you want to talk to a player and try to tell him something or educate him, he needs video. He doesn't need percentages. He doesn't need numbers. He needs video. He needs to see it. Very important. Tracking data. This is the new gold in football, tracking data. Very, very important. What is tracking data? Tracking data is off-the-ball data. When a player plays, there's 90 minutes to be played. There's 22 players on the pitch. Do some calculation. The ball is most of the time going from A to B. So he has, depending on the game, but on average, maybe 20 situations where he touches the ball. So that's event data. A dribble, a tackle, a shot, whatever. Event data. Tracking data is when he doesn't have the ball. Where does he need to be? When there's a cross from the left side, I want my right winger to be in a certain area or something. That's the combination. The cross is event data. The positioning is tracking data. So we combine it. Physical data, how fast does player A moves from here to there. We all put it together, and then we ask a club, how do you want to play? What is your game model? Some clubs, they, don't have a game model. They adjust. But some clubs really have an idea on how they want to play. And how they want to play has nothing to do with, we're playing with 4 in the back or with 3 in the back. No, it's how do you want to defend? How do you want to put pressure? How do you want to build up? How do you want to create chances? A game model. Really have an idea. How do I want to score a goal? How do I want the opponent to prevent scoring a goal? Okay? And we can actually measure this. Second thing, individual player development. Okay? A player comes in. Most of the clubs are a selling club. That means they buy a player. They give him a stage to perform and they want to sell him. It doesn't happen just like that. You just don't put him on the pitch and just play. You have an idea most of the time of maybe 2, 3, maybe 5, maybe 10, I don't know, points that you want to improve in a player. You put it in. Exactly what do you want to improve? And the output comes automatically. So I gave already the example. When a player from the left side gives a cross, I want my right winger to be in a certain position. Automatically, after every game, it gives you the output. Okay, there were 5 crosses. 3 times he was in position, 2 times he was not. Opponent analysis. What do you know? What do you want to know about the opponent? With the same things. How do they build up? Which is their weakest player? I can put pressure on him. Things like this. All automated. You get the output. And then probably the things that you're most interested in, scouting. If you get a presentation like this, where you have the ability to play 1v1, the pressure, and the chance creation, which player would you choose? It's an open question. But I guess everyone would choose player A, right? Of course, normal. I would too. And this is a great video, but we cannot play it, I guess. No. It's all about context. A great video from The Guardian. I do it like this. There's a guy, you see him, he's running, and everyone thinks he's running because he robbed someone. Yeah. Then he keeps running towards someone, and you think he's gonna rob someone. Yeah. And then in the same video, you see him, and he takes a guy and saves his life. It depends on how you look at it. It's the same guy, it's the same situation, it's the same thing, but it's the context that's essential. Also in scouting. I'll go back. 1v1. Maybe in the first thing, I will probably show it afterwards. Maybe in the first thing, 1v1 is the amount of dribbles. So it's a player that does, he dribbles a lot. In B is percentage of successful dribbles. Something completely different. But it's dribbling. Okay? Putting pressure. Very interesting. If you use event data and you take pressure actions, you have like most of the time over 100 pressure actions. So a player puts a lot of pressure. But if you take tracking data where you can make a small distinguisher and you have actually also the acceleration, you might have 20. So there's a big difference in pressure actions in event data and actually putting pressure in tracking data. That still doesn't work. A big problem. Because of this data we have access to, we are all fishing in the same pond because we're looking at the same things and we extract the same player, making it extremely difficult, especially for you guys, to find the right player. What is happening? Yeah. So if we go and watch duels, if we go and watch shots, XG, whatever, OBV, all fantastic things that data companies figured out that might be important for a game. I like to think a bit different in coaches' words, like count the number of possession gains by a player 3 seconds after any player of my team has an aerial duel that is of any kind when the opponent is playing in a high block. This is actually that the people in the staff, in the locker room understands. If you tell a striker, you know, your XG is not great, you need to work on your XG. Okay, coach. Can you explain me what is XG? Does anyone know how the XG is calculated? Anyone?
Just a moment. Did you want to give an explanation?
I'm not perfect at this. I'll give it a try. So for expected goals, it is usually calculated based on the action and whether the striker was able to finish the action or not. Sometimes it depends on the positional play or, you know, the end result of the action or the move of the player and whether it could result in a goal.
Benedict, you're a clever guy. There's a lot of things involved in an XG. It's the positioning. It's actually something our friend already mentioned, machine learning behind. You have a data set of going back 20 years to see whether a player, he overperforms in the XG, underperforms. But the XG, if you tell it to a player, you have to work on your XG, he doesn't understand, and it's normal. But if you go and tell him, listen, if our right winger goes in that position, I want you to show up in this position. This is something that he understands and he can work with. Oh, by the way. And this happens. So if you know what you want from a certain profile, I want my right winger to make successful dribbles and deliver a pass to a specific zone. I want him to make possession gains high up the pitch because we are a physical team and we want to put a high press. And when we don't succeed, I want him to be back in the first third to be in a certain position. I want him to be accessible on the sideline or in between the lines, whatever. But you know what you want based on your style of play, what you expect from your player. You just write it down, maybe 3, maybe 5 things that you're looking in a player. You give this, then you will find interesting players all over the world that can do specifically what you expect them to do. This is what I want to say. These are some of the things that I already explained. Numbers. These are numbers. The amount of dribbles, you see he's got a downward trend. We have Antonio as the number 1, making 7.93 dribbles, position adjusted per 90 minutes. So that means possession adjusted. That means that if my club, the average actually, if my club doesn't have possession a lot, you make it possession adjusted towards a club that always has possession. So you're comparing Manchester City with Sunderland. Okay, this is possession adjusted. If you go for the amount of dribbles, you see them there. He scores high. He does a lot of dribbles. Something else is the percentage of all dribbles that are successful. Totally different kind of thing. If you pull up the number of players that are successful dribbles, the same player in the same league turns up number 39. That means there are 38 wingers who do a better job. You see them there. So all the red ones, he was unsuccessful. All the white ones, he was successful. The blue ones actually ended in a shot. And the green one ended in a goal. Maybe you want to take it a little bit further. Maybe you say, okay, I want to see all the dribbles that are successful, followed by a pass ending in the opponent box. Gives me more interesting information, more context to the story. Now he's number 6. Downward trend. Display per match, so not possession adjusted. So be very careful, clubs, when agents send you information. Don't take it for granted because it's a nice graphic. I can make a horrible graphic for Messi, especially because he doesn't run a lot, for instance. But the other way around as well. Players that are not really well, I can make a fantastic graphic. Video doesn't work, I guess. Yeah. So we had here Bill Antonio. This was his profile. Not really amazing, but the same player, other metrics, same things that we measured. One, the 1v1s, the pressure actions, and what's the other one? Chance creation, just the name. But all I want to say is be really careful with data. Interpretation is the key. context is the key. Numbers without context can label players incorrectly or undervalue their contribution. Everyone goes fishing for the same players, while there's others that are at least interesting enough to go and find or to go and recruit or to have a look at. So data is only valuable when it's interpreted with the right football context, and this is really the key. It's a shame that the videos didn't work and things didn't pop up in the right way. I'm sorry for that. But if you're interested to find out more, please contact me and I will show you everything that I know and that I have learned about data and putting it in context and how we can potentially help each other in the future.
Thank you. Do you have maybe a final question for Tom? All right. Thank you very much, Tom. That was the Tom van Abbeele.